My name is Lucy Partlow-Loyall. I'm a senior in the social work program, and this is kind of something I did just because I was interested in it. So my topic is civil rights and the college students' role in protecting those rights. Civil rights play a critical role in the functioning of our democracy, but in the past they have not been equally guaranteed under the law and equally protected. So this is what I'm going to cover in my presentation. We'll define what civil rights are, take a look at past and present movements to protect civil rights with a focus on college campuses, and then we'll discuss what you can do to protect civil rights. So civil rights, that's a term that's thrown out a lot in the discourse today, but what does it actually mean? Some take it to simply mean the right to not be discriminated against. If you look at the dictionary, civil rights are those rights of citizens to political and social freedom and equality. Sounds great and totally not vague, right? What it boils down to is that civil rights are meant to provide equal opportunities and protection of the law, regardless of factors like race, religion, sex, gender, and other factors. And I have a technological question because I cannot scroll in my notes.
That might be always the case in most of you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's it. All right. Some examples of civil rights include the right to vote, the right to government services, and the right to use public facilities like public restrooms or water fountains. Civil rights differ from human rights or natural rights in the way that they are given. Human rights are those rights that are claimed to be given by God or are natural. If you are a person, you have these rights. However, civil rights are given by the state. That means that civil rights in the U.S. might differ from what civil rights are defined as in France, or Syria, or Mexico, or Canada. So an example of this might be LGBTQ rights. Here we are starting to discuss them as rights and how they should be protected, but in other nations that's not always the case. That's really come to the forefront of conversations in a few Western industrialized nations. In other nations, that's not a thing. So civil rights are heavily influenced by the era, culture, and government and power. One prominent example that we all probably know about is the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. That's one of the most well-known civil rights movements, and it's right there in the name. In history classes today, we still learn about key figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, the Little Rock Nine, Rosa Parks, and the battle to achieve racial equality. This movement brought about many different forms of protest from many different types of people. With my emphasis on college students, I want to focus in on the Greensboro sit-ins for the purposes of this presentation. On February 1st, 1960, 4 college students, Ezell Blair, Franklin McCain, Joseph McNeil, and David Richmond, took a stand against segregation by sitting at a segregated lunch counter in Woolsworth in Greensboro, North Carolina. And they refused to leave. Within 3 days, they were joined by 300 other people. And by the summer of 1960, the movement had spread to 50 other cities, and lunch counters across the nation were rapidly becoming desegregated. This protest in specific played a direct role in forming the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which then planned other protests like the Freedom Rides and played a major role in the civil rights movement. Additionally, this particular protest shows the power of just a few individuals who are willing to stand alone. The Students for a Democratic Society began in 1959 to get involved in the civil rights movement. The organization had slow growth until the escalation of the Vietnam War, which caused the organization to grow rapidly, especially after the March on Washington they organized in April of 1965. However, as the organization became more militant, factions formed and divided the organization, which contributed to its dissolution. And that happened about in the mid-1970s. However, SDS is making a comeback in the form of the new SDS, which supports the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, and also advocates for student issues like the cost of tuition and other things impacting college campuses today. Black Lives Matter is a relatively recent movement, beginning the actual term Black Lives Matter gaining traction in 2013. And it's a response to racism and police brutality in the United States. This movement is actively shaping the conversations we are having about race in this country. After the shooting of 18-year-old Michael Brown, many of the protesters in Ferguson, Missouri were college students. Additionally, this protest gave way to Concerned Student 1950 at the University of Missouri. Concerned Student 1950 addressed the racial tension and racist acts going on at the campus, and after the president's inappropriate responses to incidents of racism, students were protesting at homecoming and reaching out and demanding for change. And they protested until the president stepped down. So what can you do to make a change in your campus, your community, or even on a larger scale? There are several things you can do. The first thing you need to do is find out what you're passionate about. Are you passionate about voting rights? Does the discrimination against the LGBTQ community really grind your gears? That's where you start. You find out what that issue is that you care about, and that's when you start your research. Once you've found your issues, you can find resources that can help you to make a difference. There may be organizations in the community that are working on the same things you're passionate about, or you may have to go out and recruit people on your own. Additionally, there are tools online to help you explore what resources you have in the community and who you can reach out to for help. One of the most important things you can do is speak up. You have a First Amendment right to free speech, free press, and the right to assemble. Some ways to speak out include reaching out to officials. That may mean reaching out to the university officials or campus administration if you're working on a campus issue, or calling your representatives at a local, state, or national level. You can also engage in lobbyism like Higher Ed Day if there are campuses. Yeah. Sorry, I saw Katie just give me a look. But Higher Ed Day to go lobby for interests for college campuses. If you want to show that you have support for an issue, a petition may be the way to go before you reach out. Keep in mind that with petitions, there are some specific restrictions depending on where you are. I think for Kansas, you have to be registered to vote to sign a petition, and that's something to always take into consideration. You can also organize a demonstration. This one takes a lot of logistical work, but is demonstrated by the Greensboro citizens, and active civil disobedience can go a long way. You can also raise awareness of an issue. You can use social media campaigns, posters, or a presentation not unlike the one I'm giving today. There are several resources available to you. You may be able to find a group on campus that is working on the same things you are, and they will be an excellent resource for you. Students from other universities can also be a great resource. And the fire.org link that's in this presentation has a social network specifically for student activists, where you can reach out to other students from other universities and see what they're organizing, what they're doing, what works for them, or you can read articles and look into issues that other places are facing. Additionally, accreditedschoolsonline.org has an easy guide on how to get started in student activism that can help you organize your effort. The Department of Education also has information about the rights you have as a college student, if that's what you're looking for. The internet as a whole is a great way to find tools, resources, ideas, and connect with other individuals looking to engage in activism. And apparently I talk fast because these are my sources that I used in my presentation today. Sorry it was so short. Thank you so much for coming to this Times Talk. Are there any questions?
Are any of you interested in Higher Ed Day now that you've heard about it? It's a really fun time. Okay. Can you talk about Higher Ed Day?
Higher Ed Day, I've never actually been, but Higher Ed Day is organized by the Student Government Association, and it's where students can go to Topeka to lobby for issues about affecting the Kansas Board of Regents universities. I think this year we're working on an affirmative consent policy. That's one of your big ones. You're on LPAC, right?
Yeah. So I'm on the committee that kind of organizes that event, and I also went last year. So the event itself is really fun. You get to go to the Capitol, which is a really great place to go to. Like, it's beautiful in there. Absolutely love it. And then you get matched up with someone, so you're not going to be alone in these meetings. It's not very overwhelming. They train you on what you're going to talk about, and they kind of give you some information so that you're going in there very informed. And all the legislators love talking to college students, especially. So it's going to be a really friendly environment. And basically, you just talk to them about issues that college students care about. This year, we're talking about basically giving back the funding that they took away in past years to make up for funding deficits, and then also giving us more mental health support so that we can help our students on campus who are suffering from those issues. So it's a really great experience. You get to talk to legislators that are likely in your districts. They try to pair you up with those people, and it's always really fun to get to learn about what's happening in the Kansas legislature.
When's Higher Ed Day?
It is in February. I want to say February 12th. That date is sticking out to me. And then you can also find the application on the SGA website. It's fhsustudents.org, and it's not a very intensive thing at all.
You know if that's the same event where they have the poster competition?
No,
It's different?
yeah, that's
I think it's
different.
separate.
Yeah.
Right. If there are no other questions.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to apply for it?